Welcome, everyone, to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners regular session on Wednesday, November 5th. We have a full board today. 4 of us are here in the room. Francie Jacober is joining online, and our schedule this week is a little bit wonky since we had election day yesterday. We moved our work session, which is normally on a Tuesday, to tomorrow. So if you were looking for that, please join us tomorrow in the morning. So with that, I will go ahead and see if there's any additions or deletions to today's agenda.
There are no additions or deletions to today's agenda.
Thank you, John. And let's see if there's any public comment. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to address the board for items not listed for public hearing today? Come on up, Glenn.
Thanks. Okay.
Say your name and you have 3 minutes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, well, I want to make some comments about Gideon, and I'm going to try to get through this as best I can. Gideon and I started working together 45 years ago when Alice and I were planners in the Aspen-Pitkin Planning Office. Alice and I worked closely with Gideon on multiple City of Aspen and Pitkin County projects and developed a friendship. Gideon left his mark on Pitkin County through his work as an attorney. Gideon used his outstanding skills to meld the interests of his clients with the public interest. I want to highlight some of his work in Castle Creek and in the Maroon Creek Valleys. These are examples of his work that was done in the rest of the county. Gideon collaborated with John Doremus and Joe Wells to prepare the Castle Creek Valley Ranch Plan, which is one of the best subdivisions in the county. There are 15 free market houses, 4 affordable single-family houses. Virtually all of the structures are not visible from the road. There are significant open space parcels. The subdivision is traversed by the Congo Trail, a critical link between Aspen Highlands and Aspen Mountain that was dedicated to the county. Gideon collaborated closely with Tom Moore to plan the Moore subdivision, which is now known as the Five Trees subdivision. Tom followed his own unique approach to plan the property. He started the planning process by laying out the Nordic Trail system and then figured out how to work in the houses around the Nordic skiing. The Moore PUD plan features 31 affordable single-family housing units, 40 free market single-family houses. There are 2 school athletic fields, a pedestrian-oriented school campus that was developed by the Moore family, the Aspen Valley Ski Club clubhouse, and a ski lift from the clubhouse to Aspen Highlands. Gideon brought together Whip Jones, Jerry Hines, Lester Crown, and Jim Crown to negotiate the sale of Aspen Highlands and the redevelopment of the ski and base area. When the process started, the base area included the Highlands Inn, Maroon Creek Lodge, and a 742-car dirt parking lot. There were 11 lifts, and it took 46 minutes of riding time to get to the top of Lodge Peak. Whip Jones and Max Smith dreamed of Highlands Bowl being skied on a regular basis. I remember running into Don Rayburn early one morning across the street at the Locals Corner when there was a picture of Highlands Bowl on the cover of Aspen Times and a story about skiing the bowl. Don said to me, "I don't know what you guys are smoking over there at Highlands." Now we ski the bowl on a regular basis. Now it takes 20 minutes to get to the top of Lodge Peak, and the ski area is served by only 5 lifts. Planning Aspen Highlands Village was a major legislative challenge which Gideon tackled and drafted special legislation to make happen. Since 1966, Highlands was planned to have a major base area development. The development of the base area was tied up in litigation between the owners and Pitkin County for many years. The litigation focused on the county's tourist accommodations growth management quota system. There was simply just no way to get the allotments that were necessary to develop the base area. So Gideon came up with an idea to develop Aspen Highlands Village as a combination of an affordable housing project and the first major TDR receiver site. Gideon drafted the Affordable Housing Overlay Zone, and it was applied to the base area. The project is now comprised of 111 affordable housing units, 63 free market units, and 73 tourist accommodation units. The Aspen Highlands ski area is the only ski area in the country with an affordable housing development project located at the base of the area. Simultaneously with the development of the the Affordable Housing Overlay Zone, Cindy Hubin created the Rural and Remote Zone and the County TDR program. 13 TDRs were transferred from Richmond Ridge to make the Aspen Highlands Village work and complement the affordable housing zone. Hundreds of acres of land on the ridge were preserved as part of the redevelopment of Aspen Highlands. These are just a few examples of Gideon's skill at melding private interests with the public interest. Peyton County will miss Gideon and his approach to land use planning.
Thank you. Thanks, Glenn.
Well done.
All right, other public comment? I think I saw your hand, sir. Come on up. Please give us your name and you'll have 3 minutes.
Well, good afternoon, Commission. My name is Justin Voitis. I just want to start my 3 minutes off by telling you a little bit about myself. 25. I've lived in Aspen since 2021. I grew up in Connecticut before moving here. When I first moved here, I started making snow and running lifts on Snowmass Mountain. I had an apartment right outside in Burlingame and was paying a lot to live there, so I ended up moving into a bus. Shortly after, I started working at the W in town. I've been doing that now for the last 3 years. I boot pack for my pass up at Highlands. And I just wanted to, I guess, like spend my 3 minutes kind of advocating for those of us who do live in vans and work in the county. Yeah, I read in the paper, I don't know, like a week ago that, you know, Pitkin County had bought Brush Creek lot from the Colorado Department of Transportation. Kind of like sparked a lot of, you know, I guess like growing concerns, not only for like me, but, you know, there's at least probably like 50 to 60 of us who do live in vans and work either for like the ski co or for other properties throughout the county and throughout town. So I just wanted to kind of like demonstrate like a day in the life where it's like, you know, you wake up in the morning, you go up to Snowmass, you go to the rec center, you use the facilities up there, which are amazing. You know, and I know a lot of people who also use the ARC facilities as kind of their daily routine. In the summer, I work like 2 jobs, so, you know, I'm working for 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, and Brush Creek provides a really, really good, safe and easy location, not only for just like me, but other people working in the valley, where you don't have to go up Indy Pass to BLM land, or you don't have to go down Prince Creek or, you know, East Snowmass Creek down there, where you're 45 minutes removed from everything. And I would love to see if there's a way that like we could work with the commission and, I don't know, create almost like a unsheltered in Aspen, like they did the unsheltered in Summit County, to kind of provide a way where, you know, we can work with people. You could provide tax stamps and show that you are like actually working in town and not just kind of like a vagabond coming up from Denver and, you know, seeing the new law and be like, oh, sweet, we could camp here. Whereas, you know, those of us who are actually doing it for, I guess, more of like a monetary value gain, where it's like, I live in there personally, so I could save on the crazy rent that I know a lot of my friends pay. And, you know, if there was a way that we could create a program or find a piece of property or some space, you know, even down a little towards Ashcroft or somewhere where it's close enough for those of us who do work in the area, can park overnight, but also somewhere where it's like it won't be abused and it won't turn into a kind of a camp situation like what happened during COVID at the Brush Creek lot. So
Thank you. So your
Thank
name
you.
again?
my name's Justin Voidis.
Justin, nice to meet you.
Justin, thank you.
Thank you
It's
for
nice to
coming
meet
in.
you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet
We've
you as well,
spoken on
Ms.
the phone.
Clapper. Yeah, we had spoken on the
Yeah,
phone.
thanks for being
previously.
here today.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of course. Of
Thanks
course.
for coming in.
Of course. Yeah, I just
Good to
wanted
hear
to
from you. Yeah.
bring it to concern. So, of course, yeah.
All right. Tony, are you here for public comment?
I am.
All right, come on up.
Okay. For the record, my name is Tony Kronberg, and Glenn Horn just gave a great tribute to Gideon Kaufman, and I want Glenn to know that Glenn was a great friend of Gideon's. And that's all that I want to say. I worked for Gideon for 5 years back in the day, 50 years ago, in his law office, and he was a really good family man. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that this young gentleman that just spoke, Justin, about the Brush Creek Park and Ride, when you were talking about the Brush Creek Park and Ride Management Plan, that was one of the recommendations that I brought forward, was that how valuable that lot is. And I mentioned to you when I worked at the airport, people would use my car to sleep in at Brush Creek Park and Ride so they could get back and forth. And the lumberyard housing, we don't have any workforce housing that addresses this young man's issue. And when you think about what they don't make, where they're working at, and how much rents are, we're going to lose that workforce if we don't have a place where they can camp overnight, so to speak. Then the third thing is that, and I'd like to pass this out if I may, and right, is okay. Thank you. Wait, I should take one. Thank
He's
you.
moaning.
There's three,
We
but
just like to
there's
think it's Patty.
one packet for each, so there's three in each one. Thank you, Rye.
He's just a moaning.
So this is on another sad note, but it's not a tragic note, as with Gideon's passing. But as you know, our Picken County manager, John Peacock, that last night you signed the contract over at Winter Park. And when I first read in the paper that John was thinking that he's one of the candidates, I said to John, I go, well, should I give them a call and say you can have him? Or should I give him a call and say, no, he really needs to stay here? And that was just my way of like saying, okay, we're really going to miss you. And that was before we knew that he had been selected. So I'm not sure if John really understands the job that he has now undertaken. As you know, I've been working on a gondola system here in Picken County, in Aspen. Winter Park, John, it's a $1 billion project. This construction's going to start next summer, and it's a gondola. And it's from the parking lot in front of the town hall, and it goes up to the mountain, goes back down to the mountain, and it connects miles distance between the ski resort and the town. The beauty of it is John is walking into a project that has the approvals from the town, from the mayor and the town council. They wholeheartedly support this aerial transportation system. So John does not have to come before the elected officials or the administration and say, hey, let's do this. John's job is going to be, they're going to tell him, you're going to be doing this. And I called over there this morning just to find out where it was in the process, and the assistant city manager answered the phone, Alyssa Janes. And they are so excited, John, about having you come over there, just as we've been really excited for you for the last 15 years. And John and I, we've been back and forth on a lot of different projects, but John has always been steadfast. He's loyal. You really deal with the public really well. And he comes to compromise, and I really don't think you should be going to Winter Park. I think you need to stay here, and you need to help us with our gondola project here, because we still don't have our elected officials on board. But there, they've got the resolutions, they pulled together a funding mechanism, and they're really excited about having you come on board. Next summer, you start construction, and from apparently 2028 is when they hope to have it finished. might have just, so that's a 3-year project.
Thanks, Tony.
But anyway, but John, thank you so
I
much
didn't know
for
that about Winter Park.
all the
Thank
work
you.
that you've
So
done.
is that why John's leaving us? Because their project is 1 billion and ours at the airport didn't quite make that?
I think it may be in the millions versus billion, but
Oh, no, it says right here in the article,
Oh.
billion, with all the real estate and
Oh, yes.
all, everything, the whole PUD.
All right, we can go to commissioner comments then. Go ahead.
John, all is forgiven. You can come back. But Tony's going to be going with you, I think. Well, hey, share the wealth. That's what I say. Thank you. I just wanted to tag on to what Glenn said about Gideon. We could spend the whole day talking about the impact Gideon had on the community just in the recent year. I want to say Three Meadows, the purchase of Three Meadows with Eagle County, Pitkin County, and AVLT might not have happened had it not been for Gideon, and it certainly would have happened as quickly as it did. With his help and our attorneys, Rye in particular, it closed in 3 months, and Gideon had a huge impact on that. He also had so much stuff going on in the background, projects that just miraculously happen. If you dig deep enough, and it'd be hard to find him, but Gideon's there. And so I just want to express my gratitude for his presence in our community, and I'm really grateful that Glenn came in and shared that. It was interesting to hear that. Thanks.
Patty?
Yeah, 2 things that I want to tag on to Greg. Yeah, Gideon and I, through Planning and Zoning Commission and through everything, got to be really good friends. So it was a tough one. The service was absolutely amazing. All of the people that were in the room, it's just incredible. And there's just a way that the Jewish, community, honors and recognizes people. And it was very, very touching. And I'm hoping that we might be able to find a way to leave some kind of remembrance of Gideon, maybe working with a ski company at Highlands or something, where people can actually go. I will be seeing Gideon a lot because he was interned at the Red Butte Cemetery. I spent a lot of time there. So it'll be my opportunity to talk to Gideon, and he'll probably, though, find a way to talk back. I'm sure of it. But I think, if anything, probably one of my fondest memories of Gideon fighting for outdoor heated swimming pools when he was coming in, and they got to be. So maybe that's what we need to do. We need to just build him an outdoor swimming pool and put his name on it. But yeah, it was just an amazing ceremony. That being said, we are truly going to miss seeing Gideon around town or walk in here with that Gideon smile on his face. And such a family man and such a good friend to so many. So that was tough. The other thing is, I want to thank the Pitkin County voters for voting yesterday. Right now, we're looking at almost 63% of the positive vote going for our airport bonding question. Thank the board for support. It was, you wait for those first numbers to come out with bated breath going, and it was really a good feeling yesterday when those first numbers came out. They're still tallying some ballots that kind of went to Eagle that are coming back over here. So, but I don't think that's going to change the positive vote for the airport bonding. So now we have a task before us, and that is to go to the feds and get some federal dollars to help us do what the community has asked this board to do and supported twice now, almost to the same percentage, ironically, to get the airport done. So thank you all. Thank everyone for voting. The numbers were amazing. The tax questions across the board that passed shows the kind of heart Pitkin County voters, Pitkin County community has to keep the fire department strong, to keep the school district strong. The Basalt Library passed, so libraries are so key and fundamental to so many aspects of our community. But yeah, it was an amazing day yesterday and last night, and I want to thank the election office and all the people that were election judges and all the staff from both the clerk's office, clerk and recorder's office as a whole really puts in their all. As Kelly and I know, having worked those elections, it's a long day, and I want to thank everybody for participating.
Thanks, Patty. And thank you for all you've done.
Yeah.
Greg,
Yeah, just a follow up. I received an email this morning from Dr. Tom Kurt, who's on our Pickens County Board of Health, and he just wanted to make sure the Board of Health was able to express to John before he moves on to Winter Park how much we've all appreciated working with him. And I think I can speak for the entire board. We're grateful and a fond farewell. And Dr. Kurt was thoughtful enough to remind me of that just now. So thank you.
Hey, we've got another like 2 months to torture.
Oh no, we're gonna milk this. We're gonna wring it out.
It's like I'm going on a sunny vacation. Francie or Jeffrey, any comments today?
Oh, that's my dog moaning.
Francie, go
Yeah,
ahead.
she's giving her public comment.
I pretty much was gonna speak on the 3 topics that have already been brought up about the really sad loss of Gideon and John's successful candidacy in Winter Park. Congratulations to you, John. I know you'll take your vision and your intelligence to another place and make it better, but it's hard for Pickens County to lose you. I also wanted to thank the voters. Nationwide, it was a pretty great night, and I was really happy that 7A passed. We certainly need help with childcare, and 1A, of course, was awesome. I expected it to pass, but it was really a relief, and I really look forward to moving on with the airport. Thank you.
Thanks, Francie. Are there any comments today?
I'll make one, which is, I don't know if it's well reported, but I think, John, thank you for the amazing team, both internally, the Lindsay Macias of the world, the Brian Pettits, but also what you just brought on in terms of ZGF, PAE, KLNA. It's a spectacular team, so I hope everyone in Portland is also enjoying the success today of the ballot initiative. So congratulations on both fronts. So thank you.
All right. Well, it's easy to ditto a lot of what has been said here. It's been a real range of some mourning and loss and some excitement for the future. John, prior to your in late December, I will share my public words about how much knowing you has meant to me personally. But thank you for everything. And I just want to say I was so pleased to wake up and just realize that my personal values are in alignment with the community values as demonstrated by the support for the initiatives on the ballot yesterday. And, I'm really excited about this new child care district, which I think is, I'm hoping is going to be really transformative. It's a bit of an experiment on aligning what has always been a needed kind of 3 legs to a stool in the world of child care provision, and that is, the public support, the private support, and then the families who are utilizing the services. And we've not done that well as a society, and I'm really hoping for excellent outcomes and really helping to lay perhaps a path forward on how we build that stool bigger and bigger to raise our children in the most healthy ways possible and give them the best tools for success in their futures. And just thrilled that everyone supported 7A, and I know several of the members of the new board, and I think they were excellent candidates, and I wish them well and success. Okay.
Can I add on to what I said?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that once again, Pickens County voters have shown that they are generous taxpayers. It's been quite a while since Pickens County voters have not approved something that has been asked of them to make the county a better place. It's pretty impressive. Thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll close commissioner comment and move on to our consent agenda. We have 2 items, the minutes of the October 20. Oh, and sorry, Abby, just double check online. I didn't skip it on for public comment. Sorry.
Sorry, John, I'm gonna.
Rye's gonna jump over the table.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay.
I've been seeing you
All good.
Do it.
All right.
Watch
Our
that
consent
name.
agenda has the minutes of October 22nd, regular meeting, and a resolution to appoint
thought
our
you were gonna make
citizen
me
board
do it.
members. Our citizen board appointment is for Sandra Herron. Oh, she is a delight.
No,
I so
she's a
enjoyed
character.
her interview to serve on the Senior Services Council. And I know we have a few more I think we need to discuss for a future resolution on some citizen board nominations as well. So, does anyone wish to pull any of these items, or is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, moving on to our individual consideration items. The first reading, which will be set for public hearing on November 19th. And this is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the BoCC and the Aspen Fire Protection District for services. Hi, Matt.
Howdy. How are we doing today?
Doing great.
good.
How is the rest of community listens?
It went really well. I got no complaints.
Excellent.
Recommended to others.
Okay.
My name is Matt Bergstresser. I'm the fleet manager for Pickens County. Here today to present the first reading of the approval of the amended IGA for Aspen Fire and the BoCC. So open to questions.
Okay, we discussed this in work session, and this is a renewal of an agreement we've had with
Correct,
the
yeah, the
fire
third term of it.
district to provide fleet services for them, and it sounds like it's going great for everyone involved. Other questions? Patty?
I just want to say thank you. This is a great way to show the community that we cooperate with other entities within the community to the benefit of the community. And being able to service the fire department's vehicles here in the valley is critical and appreciated by all. So thank you for helping us to move this forward again. This is not the first time, nor will it be the last that we
Absolutely.
can
Glad
we
to
can
be a
do
part of
this.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, other questions for Matt?
I will make a
We'll come
motion.
back for public hearing on the 19th. Patty, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution approving an amended intergovernmental agreement between the Board of Commissioners and my dog, who's moaning on the floor, with the Aspen Fire Protection District for maintenance, repair, and fuel supply for the district's vehicles. And second reading, public hearing on the 11th of November.
I will second and add to Patty's comment that it's so amazing. In a community that's about mutual aid, it extends into mutual service agreements. So it's really just nice to see the community and how it comes together across both mutual aid and mutual service. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 See you in
Thank you
2
very
weeks.
much.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Our next item is a public hearing and second reading on ordinance approving and accepting the Little Ditch Ranches Conservation Easement. We have Paul Holsinger with Open Space and Trails. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how are you, commissioners? Yes, I'm Paul Holsinger, the Conservation Easement Manager for Pickens County Open Space and Trails. We talked about this 2 weeks ago, but this is conservation easement over 2 parcels. It's approximately 130 acres being encumbered, and this was came into our lap from an extension of vested rights for this parcel. I was going to share this map so we can all see it. I'm going to use the 3D one because it's fun. There we go. So this is the 130 acres. Majority of it is on this upper piece here, and we mapped this with CPW data, and it's got some good wildlife habitat. It's critical winter habitat. It also fits in well with our other work that we've done in that valley, the Woody Creek Valley. The Craig parcel is that big one just to the north, or above this parcel. It's about 640 acres, and this just continues our good protection of that area. And just to orient people, this is that Elam gravel pit. Woody Creek is down here. You can see the cursor's kind of hard to see. But, and this is the Thompson parcel,
Okay.
the Owl Creek or Owl Farm.
Owl
Yep.
Farm.
So that's the kind of finger in holding that cuts up through it. But nothing has changed since first reading, and we're excited to get this on our within our conservation easement portfolio. Any
Excellent.
questions?
Any questions for Paul? All right, this is a public hearing. Let's see if anyone wishes to comment on this conservation easement. Is Jocelyn here for this? Do you think? Jocelyn, are you here for this one?
Yes.
I guess one question, just regarding the finger, the in-holding that's going to be surrounded now by the conservation easement. What are the restrictions on that parcel that apparently is still wide open for use by the owner? And could they put a motocross park in, for instance, or?
Ooh, that's a good question for Rye, but it's still a private parcel. We have talked with the family from time to time, but they can do whatever is allowed.
They cannot put a motocross course in there. The zone district is generally zoned residential, so a commercial use where it can be a commercial motocross park would not be an allowed use. You're also not allowed to engage in trail building outside of an activity envelope.
Okay.
So
Shooting range, none of that, yeah.
Well, there are some historic refrigerators out there with some
Right,
good
sure.
bullet holes in them,
Yeah.
for sure.
From the neighbor,
thank you.
by
That's
chance?
enough.
Please, sir.
From
And hi, Jocelyn.
yeah.
All
from
right,
Hunter.
Jocelyn, hi. I see your hand is raised.
Hi, and I just to add to that, I will tell you that there have been conversations between the owner of that parcel and our clients who are, donating this easement regarding the possible purchase of the property. So that would be something that would certainly come, if that were to happen, we would come back to you with to donate that piece as well, the finger. So my client would happily purchase it.
That would be great.
It'd be nice if that was the Woody Creek finger that everyone remembered fondly.
Got boxes.
This is what it looks
I
like.
think that was on another highway.
that's right.
All right. Thanks, Jocelyn. We appreciate you being here for this.
Yeah, no, and thank you. I wanted to thank you for, your good work on this. It was great and always a pleasure.
All right. I don't see any further public comments, so I will close the public hearing. If there's any more questions, now's the time. Otherwise, I will look for a motion, please.
Motion to approve. Oh, Francie, I'll second Francie.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Bye.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
All right, item number 5, we have a resolution authorizing a site agreement between Picken County and Pano AI Inc. for the installation of fire detection equipment at the Thomasville Telecommunications site. Do we have Drew online?
Drew was gonna be here, but I spoke with him, and we haven't had a chance to work out the language with with Pano. So
Oh.
we're asking for just one more continuance on this to the next regular meeting.
Okie doke. Well, let me open the public hearing and see if anyone wishes to comment on this item or the request to continue. Seeing no public comment, I will close the public hearing for today, and I'll look for a motion to continue this resolution, second reading and public hearing to what date?
19th?
The 19th.
Yeah.
November
The
19th.
Oh, to
So
November
moved.
19th.
I would
Thank you,
make a
Greg.
motion to continue this.
I'll second with a comment.
Go ahead, Patty.
Yeah, I think that Pano has turned out to be, of course, extremely helpful, but there was an article I came across, I think just this morning maybe, about what they're doing in Idaho using satellite. It's a new system of early detection, has a broader range possibly, so it's something, the Pano works well here now, it's on the ground, of course, on towers, but it's something for us to keep in mind moving forward to see how it pans out, no pun intended, in Idaho. So, but I'm supporting moving this because the more we can get coverage throughout the county and our neighboring counties, the safer we are, and the quicker our response.
All right, thank you. All in favor for this continuance, please say aye.
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 Thank you, board.
All right, moving on to emergency resolution confirmatory readings. So we will accept public comment on these. An emergency resolution establishing the formula for distribution of the municipal share of county sales tax revenue for the year 2026 as required by Resolution 78-121. Hi. Hi, Ann. Welcome.
Andriga, CFAO, standing in for Liz Woods, who's on PTO. This is the confirmation following the emergency resolution for the sales tax distribution share for next year. The reason why it's an emergency resolution is because in 1978, no one really predicted how the distributions would work with the state. So we get our numbers very, we only have enough time, the resolution requires us to present this to you by a certain date, which we don't get the data from the state in order to calculate the numbers. So we only have like 2 weeks. But so the numbers are here. It basically gives the share based upon a 2-year rolling average of the sales tax collected in each of the municipalities. And this is our share back of our own sales tax to the municipalities in these amounts. And every year it just changes slightly between each of the municipalities. And so all the sales tax we collect in 2026 will be distributed back to the municipalities in these amounts. So,
Questions for Ann? Does every county do this?
I am not completely aware, but I think this is kind of fairly unique to Pitkin County that we share back our sales tax.
Yeah, there are arrangements in other communities that share back sales tax, but I think this is our formula is fairly unique, I think.
So it's universal to share the sales tax.
I wouldn't say it's universal. It's not unheard of, I think is what I would say. And it depends how a sales tax was approved and for what purpose. So in a number of communities, if you're looking for sales tax to support capital or what have you, oftentimes there is a share back. Mesa County had a share back too, but in a different formula set up. It just had percentages set up as originated, I believe. So, but not all communities do that by any means.
Because these municipalities are also collecting their own individual sales tax.
That's
on top
correct.
of what we're sharing with them.
That's correct.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and the
That's never dawned on me
municipalities
in
get
6
more of
years
our
of doing
sales tax than we do.
What's that?
The municipalities get more of our sales tax than we do.
And the justification there is arguably that's where the sales are being generated.
I'm guessing that was the justification back in 1978, yes.
And Healthy Rivers and Streams
Not included in this.
It
This is
comes
just the
just to
county.
us.
Yeah.
but it's generated throughout the county.
And you might recall, like, when this sales tax was originally approved, there was a lot more integration between the organizations, you know, shared departments,
Right.
a lot more shared infrastructure. And as each entity has grown up more, we've teased some of those apart. But I think at the time, it was probably viewed as a tax supporting one organization in a way. Yeah. I don't know that for sure, but I'd speculate that.
Sounds good.
And I just want to clarify, so the exhibit here shows just the total amount and then the percentages, but it doesn't show that math. So like 44% of 57 million is what we're sending to the city of Aspen. Is that correct?
Well, we don't know what the sales tax is going to be for 2026 yet. So these are the numbers that will be
From the
applied to
past,
2026 sales tax.
Right. Just say we assume it carries
It's the
forward.
same, yeah.
Then that's how we would generate that number to them.
Mhm.
Okay. It's quite a lot of money.
Indeed.
Okay. Good to know, understand that. Any further questions? Otherwise, I'll open this for public hearing. Okay, anyone? No, right. No one wishes to comment on this today, so we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to approve this emergency resolution on confirmatory reading.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Patty? I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
And next year, we may not give it to them.
I'm sorry?
Next year is a different story altogether.
I think that would require some dialogue, perhaps. Resolution to.
Good try.
Rescind Resolution 78. It does seem like that's a pretty, it's interesting that it's by resolution. Those can be undone more easily than other things. Okay.
Dan.
Thank you. Emergency resolution authorizing the acceptance of legacy planning grant funds for the Financial Empowerment Center of the Rockies. And we have Sam Lancaster with us. Hi, Sam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sam Lancaster, Deputy Director of Human Services, and we're here for the confirmatory reading on this emergency resolution allowing us to accept grant funds from the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund in the amount of $50,000 over 2 years. This funding will be used to provide legacy planning services through the Financial Empowerment Center of the Rockies that Pickens County has been the manager of for the past 2 years. And legacy planning services are such things as wills and estate planning services that are going to be offered free of charge to anyone in Pickens, Eagle, and Garfield counties. It also grants us access to legacy planning software on the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund proprietary software called FECDOT. So it gives us a lot of great access to additional financial services for folks to help them with their estate planning.
Wonderful. There was a very nice article about the program in the paper recently. Any questions for Sam?
Thank you, Sam.
All right, let's see if anyone wishes to comment on this in a public hearing. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for further discussion or a motion on the confirmatory reading.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks again,
Aye.
Sam.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, we have reached our land use portion of the day. It's a very quick moving agenda. Hi, Suzanne. Our first land use action, so this doesn't require any decision of the board, is a presentation from Suzanne about forwarding a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission allocating the rural area residential GMQS allotment for additional floor area to Veyron Mountain Properties. Did I say that right?
Sounds good to me. I think we've heard it pronounced lots of ways, so that one works. So yeah, under the code, the P&Z is authorized to score and grant the allotments, and then it does include a requirement to forward that score to the BoCC. So that's why there's no action on your part. Just quickly, the request from Veyron Mountain Properties LLC was for the 3,500 square feet of additional floor area to go up to a maximum of 9,250, consistent with what the code allows. It's 1333 West Buttermilk Road, Lot 2 of the Richard R. Woods Lot Split Subdivision, which is a lot split that I think dated back to the 90s, where 2 lots were created. This one has remained vacant since that time. So the 3,500 that was available, there was no other competition. The P&Z scored the application and granted that allotment. The P&Z also heard the activity envelope and site plan review application at that time. Again, with the scoring and the site plan review coming together, they had the authority to grant the approval for that as well. So they approved a resolution granting approval for that activity envelope and site plan review. I do know you've seen some public comments that came after that hearing with concerns raised about that process. I don't know at this point if any of those are resulting in actual appeals or not. But again, just to know that I know you've seen those letters and that those have come to us and we're in communication with those folks at this time. So
Will that application come to us, or it's already?
the application would not,
it's
under
approved
its
through
current
P&Z?
course, under the code today, come to you
Unless.
for review.
It goes
Unless
to the
it-
hearing officer and then appealed to us.
It would not, this would not go to a hearing officer. I mean, if it's appealed, the appeal would come to the BoCC.
And what, can I ask,
Please.
just so I understand fully the process or the timeline for an appeal? Do the appellants know, the potential appellants know that they have a recourse to appeal this?
Yeah, Tammy's been in touch with them and letting them know time frame and what that looks like to bring forward an appeal through the process. It does include, I mean, essentially they're, in submitting an appeal, they are paying a fee to us for an appeal request, because then staff is taking that through the process to bring it forward to you. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I think there were 3 different parties, and sort of was the question, are they appealing? Are they appealing together? Are they appealing separately? Kind of where does that stand? And so they're aware of the timeframes and.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah,
It's a
definitely.
15-day appeal window.
I think it's
under the
working
code.
days, right?
I believe it is
Yeah.
working days.
Okay.
And
Great.
I don't know where we stand
So
on
they're
that right
coming
now.
up on a deadline because it was a week or
So
2
they have
weeks
till
ago?
the 25th or something like that, or the 20th.
Yeah.
I'd have to look. I'd have to count days on a calendar.
Okay, that's helpful. There's no action here. Any further questions for Suzanne?
I had a question.
Yes, Francie, sorry, go ahead.
My question is about the driveway comments on this. And I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to reconsider where the driveway goes, or is that a fait accompli?
There was a lot of discussion at the Planning Commission about the location, and the approval was granted with the driveway in the location where it had been proposed. There was a lot of discussion about more disturbance, less disturbance, type of disturbance, all of that. But that is part of the Planning Commission's resolution for the site plan.
Okay, thanks, Suzanne.
Can I clarify? But it comes back to us.
No.
No, not the GMQS, the application itself?
No, it does not.
Okay.
So understand, if they weren't doing a growth management allotment, it would have been an activity envelope and site plan that just goes through staff administrative review. In this case, because there was a growth management allotment, we move everything into the same process or process step. So everything went in front of the Planning Commission. Since the Planning Commission is the final authority on the growth management allotment, it's also then the final authority on that activity envelope and site plan application. So it does not then have a step
Is
in front of the
this-
BoCC.
Was the property we also talked about when we were touring the Pfister property? It abuts up to
Correct.
the
correct.
trail that
There was
runs-
discussion about the Nordic Trail, and they, as part of their growth management or their application, they are providing easement area.
So the
for that.
only way the driveway could be reviewed again would be upon appeal. It would come onto the BoCC.
Correct.
Okay.
Greg, you have a question?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not comfortable just watching it all happen without more scrutiny from the BoCC. And so we would depend upon the appellants to come forward within the deadline with an appeal so that this board could review it, because I think perhaps all of us have seen letters or heard from people that are very concerned about it. And I don't know enough about it to have an opinion at this point, but I feel obligated to provide some scrutiny from this board. So do I just watch and wait and see what happens, or what are my choices?
Is there a provision for the board to call up an application?
There's a provision for the BoCC to pursue its own appeal of a land use decision made by a decision-making body. The code breaks out recommendations, decisions, and then, of course, staff's action in connection with any particular land use application. In this circumstance, the Planning and Zoning Commission was the decision-making body on both the GMQS aspect of the application as well as the the activity envelope and site plan aspect of the application. The BoCC could pursue an appeal of the Planning and Zoning Commission's decision. I haven't seen that happen, but it is an avenue that's available under the code. If that were to be something the BoCC wanted to do, it would be necessary to articulate, or maybe not necessary. I would suggest that the BoCC articulate the reason that the BoCC believes that the Planning and Zoning Commission decision warrants an appeal, applying the standards in the code. The standards in the code are generally an abuse, that the decision was arbitrary, that there is some kind of due process violation, or that there is a misapplication of the land use code criteria to the application. So to the extent that that was something the BoCC wants to pursue, I'm more than happy to do that. I would suggest we talk about that during an executive session to flesh out what your appeal would potentially look like.
Are we bound by the same 15-day?
Yes. The 15-day deadline in the code is to provide due process rights to the applicant so that the applicant may rely on the finality of the decision reached by the decision-making body at some point.
Okay. I think Suzanne is looking up that.
I was asking that same question. You asked my question, but I guess at this point we are beyond that 15-day working day timeframe from that hearing. I do know at least one of the letters that came in had specifically said appeal, but then I know Tammy has been continuing that conversation for them to understand that an appeal does come with, submitting a fee to us and a formal application, and there are other requirements along with that. So again, I just don't know the status of that, if that's coming forward from the neighbors at this point.
Greg had a follow-up, and then Pat.
I would just like to propose that this board discuss this in exec session perhaps as soon as this afternoon.
We can do that.
Yeah,
Well, assuming the board makes a motion to.
Yeah, I have a question. Since we didn't actually get to see this review until today, are we still bound by that 15 days starting? I mean, because that kind of negates our ability, the board's ability to appeal, since it didn't come before us until just now.
Sure.
So that's a question maybe we can answer in exec, but I would like to bring it to exec. Do we move this forward now and then?
There's no action on this
That's
particular
right, so,
item,
but I think we need to consider what our options might be as a board if a formal appeal has not been submitted or understood by the neighbors up there that are concerned about the location of the driveway.
All right, so I will propose that at the conclusion of our items today, we call an executive session. We've already planned to have one for a different item, and we will list this for discussion as well.
I'll second that if you need a second.
I don't need it yet.
Oh.
Because I don't think, there's nothing to continue here as far as.
Correct.
land
We
use
have no
section
action.
or anything like that.
Thanks. Thanks, Greg.
Suzanne, will you be around, I guess?
I can stick around.
Okay.
I'll be
please
around.
do.
Leslie's gonna whip us through this next item here, so.
Yes. All right, if there's, I think we're done talking about this now. We'll raise an exec and then see where it goes. So I'm moving us on to item number 9, which is our land use public hearing. We have a resolution of the BoCC approving Flying Dog Ranch West Inc. special review use extension with a request to continue this item to Wednesday, November 19th. Is there any information the staff wishes to share with the board on the continuance? Okay.
I'll make a motion to, it's a
I'm gonna
public
open the
hearing.
public hearing first, yes. Is there anyone here who would hope to comment in public hearing on this item? Francie, you're recused from this, right?
Yeah, I'm abstaining from this vote.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board, and I will look for a motion to continue this resolution and the public hearing to November 19th, noting Francie Jacober's recusal on this item.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Greg. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. That's a 4-0 vote to continue. All right, item number 10. land use public hearing on an ordinance of the BoCC adopting Pickens County Land Use Code text amendments and amendments to zoning regulations for the valleys of Capitol Creek and Lower Snowmass Creek Overlay District. This is a first reading. We will have a second reading on this item in coming weeks.
Oh, he's in.
Is it
Is there a last matter in front of this board?
She will have a second reading.
We can drag it out.
No, and then there's the month of December.
Yeah, we'll drag it
I'm
out.
looking at the calendar. That's all she's got.
She's not rid of us yet.
We'll find something for her.
December 3rd, that's all I see.
Leslie, while you're chatting, we're booking you for the month of December, so this, you
Yeah,
have
we've
more
got you
time to come
fully
before us.
scheduled. Don't even think of going anywhere.
Tim Malloy should be trying to Zoom in. Yeah.
Should we take a little break while we wait?
Well,
Does he need more time, or do you?
I,
can you walk us through
I
this?
gave Tim bad information. I suggested to him that 2 o'clock is when our land use items come up. And I knew that Glenn was coming, and I thought there would be conversation about the success of the election and
There was.
transition.
There was, where were you? We talked about everything.
So he was gonna try, he's in Glenwood, and I called him and said,
Look at the clock. Leslie, he's right on schedule.
that is wrong. Nice try.
Yeah, we're not gonna wait till 2.
No, and so I suggested that Tim Zoom in Ned Andrews, who is the chair of the Snowmass Caucus, was also planning to be here at 2. So I was just conferring with Suzanne, since you have a first reading and a second reading, is it possible to just kind of read the ordinance and set it for second reading, and we do our full presentation at second reading?
What is the board's prerogative? Alternatively, we could start exec session and come
That's
back.
what was going to be my suggestion as
2.
well.
Do you wish to have the full presentation on this in first reading? I always find that to be helpful, because I think the 19th is gonna stack up, or
Okay.
whenever you're.
Okay, let's go into exec.
There's Tim.
Oh,
They're
okay.
Oh, and there's
popping up.
Tammy.
He's
Yeah,
here.
popping up.
Never mind.
Maybe we don't need to delay at all.
Oh, but you said Ned is Ned coming?
He didn't, maybe Tim
we
can
do
answer that.
3
He was gonna
minutes,
try
5
and call
minutes?
Ned.
I just want to run upstairs and get my water bottle.
That
once
is the
I've
con-
abandoned some.
And I did not have my computer with me. These are text amendments.
Okay. What's the board's prerogative? We can start exec and give this team an hour to get organized to give us a full presentation here.
Oh, the memo was pretty redlined.
Yeah. We'll walk through it. We'll walk through it? What do you want? You
Yeah,
ready?
let's go through.
You ready?
Let's go.
I'm ready.
Francie, you ready?
Wait, to go through the, whatever it's called,
Land use code text amendments.
to start discussing it, or is that what you guys are saying? I couldn't quite hear everything there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've had that problem from home as well in the past. Can you hear me better now, Francie?
I can hear you perfectly, yes.
Wonderful. We were just discussing whether to give the team some time to gather at 2 and start exec session, but I think the board is comfortable with Leslie being here, with the information we have in front of us, with Tim Malloy joining us online to get started on the presentation and discussion of this item now. And this is a
Yes,
first
I'm
reading,
okay
so
with-
any gaps in information can come back to us at second reading, if necessary.
I'm okay. I thought it was
And a
pretty
full
straightforward.
computer presentation
Okay.
on second reading.
All right, well, go ahead, get started then.
Okay, so the proposal before you is coming to us from the Snowmass Capitol Creek Caucus. They've put forward these text amendments, and the planning department has agreed to run them through the process for them. They hired Tim Malloy to help them draft the text amendments, and Tim prepared the application before us. It's a 2-step review. It went to the P&Z last week. It went to the P&Z. And so the valleys of Capitol Creek and Lower Snowmass Creek Overlay District It is a zoning overlay that you all created at the end of 2023. The beginning of 2023, the caucus approved their master plan. And so the master plan was approved in the beginning of 2023, and then, as you know, at the end of 2023 was when the overlay district was created. And one of the big highlights of that overlay district was the final maximum residential floor area was limited to 5,750 square feet. TDRs and GMQS allotment could not be used to exceed 5,750. So the caucus is now proposing text amendments that they believe better aligns with the goals and the aspirations of their master plan, primarily to protect and preserve the quality of life and the rural agricultural character of the Snowmass Capitol Creek area, and to protect and preserve the scale of existing development. So the key aspects of the amendments are amending section 3-40-190. That is the section in the code that created the valleys of Capitol Creek Snowmass Overlay District. And so the language in the text amendment, and you'll see that attached in your packet to the ordinance, reemphasizes the 5,750 residential maximum square footage. But they're also adding a new section to 3-40-190, residential development and siting criteria standards for new residential development. And these are standards that will be applied to any new application that was in for site plan review. And if you can see in the text amendments, they are proposing standards with regard to siting development. New structures and driveways shall be sited to preserve open, irrigated agricultural lands and be compatible with existing topography, is one example. Then they are also focusing on water standards. They have quite a few standards related to landscape and garden irrigation, agricultural irrigation, and then pesticides and inorganic fertilizer. Those are standards that, again, would apply when we're doing site plan review. Oftentimes, we do activity envelope and site plan review together. Sometimes someone will do just an activity envelope, but it's really in site plan when we get into orientation of buildings, preservation of irrigated pasture land, things like that. The other item that they're section that they're proposing to amend is section 4-3050, accessory and temporary uses. This is under the special events paragraph in that section. And they are proposing to add language that says special events requiring the community development director to refer all special event permit applications to the appropriate recognized caucus for review. That last sentence that I just read is not in the special event section of the code. They're also proposing to amend Table 4-1A, our permitted use table, and they're proposing to prohibit within the overlay district boundary new free market duplex, multifamily, and mobile homes. They're also, in the same permitted use table, proposing to prohibit future special event venues within the overlay district boundary. So when we took this to the Planning and Zoning Commission, staff, well, let me back up. The P&Z in the resolution that's attached in your packet, the P&Z voted 4-0 to support almost all of their conditions of approval. The minor change that the P&Z made was we added the term new free market, duplex, multifamily, and mobile homes. Staff made the argument that we have language in the code. If you guys recall, for example, during the Redstone Castle, we amended the code to allow on-site rental deed-restricted units for the castle, for example. So he's building employee housing units. And we didn't want to preclude that for some other larger property if they wanted to put on-site employee housing. The P&Z agreed with that. The caucus agreed with that as well, and agreed to add just the term new free market in that language. The P&Z supported all these residential site design standards, except there was language that the caucus was proposing under pesticides and inorganic fertilizer. They were prohibiting, or they were saying only these specific pesticides and inorganic fertilizers are allowed to be used in the district boundary. And they listed them, and they're tied to federal lists. Staff did not support that because staff did not, we don't know, like, for example, when the county goes out and has to do noxious weed management on county property, or if we have to go into private property and do that, or create a plan with the property owner. We don't know what fertilizer and pesticides they're using. And without a deeper dive into what this list is or how often the list changes, we did not want that in the code. Because as things change, our code doesn't change very often. So the P&Z struck that from their proposal, and the caucus agreed with that. Staff also felt that some of the standards, again, if you were to look, it's in attachment G in the P&Z packet. If you read the P&Z packet, that was in your packet. Staff also recommended that some of these standards that they want to apply to site plan review are very difficult to enforce. And we did not want that kind of language in the code when, as Suzanne appropriately said, I feel really uncomfortable adding language to the code that we know off the top we can't enforce. I know Tim will has a nice retort to this, and it will be important to hear from Tim about this. But, for example, there's mulch shall be applied to all planting beds with a minimum depth of 2 inches to reduce evaporation. When our building inspectors or the zoning inspectors go out to inspect a site prior to final CO, they're not gonna do you have 3 inches of mulch or do you have 1 inch? And I'm pulling out the one that seems real obvious. P&Z didn't agree with us, and P&Z adopted the language as proposed by the caucus. So your resolution from the P&Z are those items, the minor items that the P&Z, everything that was proposed plus those minor items I mentioned. Your ordinance reflects the P&Z recommendation. Thank you.
Should we hear questions for Leslie, and then we'll go to Tim? Patty?
I've got a few. Do you want to go to Tim, or do you want me to ask him?
Tim might be able to answer some of your questions, actually.
Okay, I'll hold off until I hear from Tim and check them off, but some of mine are pretty simple and some of them are a little more 2-inch or 3-inch.
Greg?
I
wait?
can wait till
Okay.
Tim. I just wanted to look at the lighting, how the lighting was worded. But we can see maybe he's already got that in there.
Lighting.
All right, Tim, thank you for joining us remotely. We were moving very quickly through the first part of our agenda, so thank you. Appreciate your flexibility.
Of course. So good afternoon. My name is Tim Malloy. I live at 402 Park Drive in Glenwood Springs, and my firm, TG Malloy Consulting, is representing the Snowmass Capitol Creek and Lower Snowmass Creek Valleys Caucus. And I was the one that drafted the application that's in your packet. So I don't have a long presentation today. I did make some comments at the Planning Commission, but the first thing, of course, for me to say is that we fully support and are pleased with the Planning Commission's recommendation to you, as it preserves much of what we had proposed in our code amendments, except for, as Leslie mentions, the pesticides and inorganic fertilizer section, which we agree is probably not ready for prime time. And we were encouraged that during the Planning Commission hearing on this last week, that they said, well, why don't we take this up in a broader, more county-wide approach and discussion and see if there's something that can come from this that can be of value to all county residents and not just for this caucus area. So we were pleased to hear that in the context of the Planning Commission's meeting. So I'll just make a couple of comments related to what Les said in her presentation. And one of them has to do with the standards, the site review standards, the site planning standards. And we don't really see this as all that different from a lot of standards that are in the code. If you look at the wildlife standards, for example, or many of the standards in Section 7, they're worded very similarly to what we have proposed here and with what the Planning Commission agreed with us was a reasonable addition to the code. So we're not as invested in the issue of whether or not these are as difficult to administer as the staff is. I recognize, of course, that boots on the ground is the staff's work to be done, and that they have knowledge of how easy or not easy this is to administer that I don't have, although I did work for them a long time ago. But one of the sections in the standards has to do with water and water conservation for both garden and landscape irrigation as well as agriculture. And we believe in the caucus that this is a huge issue. It's a huge issue really around the country, and especially in drier climates as we have here. And so we have a whole section in the code that's devoted to controlling the type of water fixtures, low flow water fixtures and toilets, and making sure that we do the best that we can through our building, the administration of our building standards to conserve water. And so, irrigation water is a much higher user of water than domestic. And so we feel like this is a very important topic and one that we think is well handled in the standards that we've proposed, which again would only apply in site plan review. And one other thought about the administration of these standards is that a landscape plan is required as part of the site plan review. And so it would be fairly easy for staff to, look at the landscape plan, compare what's being proposed in the landscape plan with the standards that have been recommended and are included in the draft ordinance that you have before you, and see if in fact they comply. Now, of course, doing the review through the site plan process is different than when staff has to go out in the field and check on whether all these things are in fact actually being done in accordance with what was shown on the plans. But the caucus's position, and one that I share, is that having this in the code is a strong suggestion as to what the county's direction is with respect to how landscaping and agricultural irrigation should be done. And that we're going to get some significant percentage of people who are going to comply because they just want to do the right thing. And so we feel like that alone is a good reason to include this in the standards. And we also feel like most of these things, like checking whether the system has, the proper sensors, checking whether you know, the mulches of a certain depth are not that hard to do. I mean, the sensors are pretty obvious. You know, you can look at mulch in one area of the landscape and see whether or not it's at a reasonable depth, et cetera. So we just feel like these things are not that difficult to enforce. And in fact, the Planning Commission agreed with us and recommended approval of them as we had proposed them. So that's really all I have to say with respect to defending the standards themselves, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Tim. I do think we have some members that have some questions. Patty, I'll go back to you.
Okay, I have some clarifications and questions. Under Exhibit A, that's the second red line paragraph, which is on page 1.
Yes.
It says trailer homes, but then everywhere else it's referenced as mobile homes. So it should be mobile homes throughout, not trailer homes. So just clarification on that use of that word. That was an easy one. The other one is under, I think Greg might have, he's got some lighting ones, but on page 3, under 2, about no nighttime lighting is allowed for outdoor recreation facilities. Does that include any health safety lighting? So none of those facilities would have any outdoor lighting? Because we have.
Where are you?
I'm on page 3, number 2 at the top, under no nighttime lighting is allowed for outdoor recreation facilities, as those facilities are defined in Chapter 11, which I didn't have before me. So I just want to make sure we're not scratching out, you know, life safety issues for lighting.
I'm afraid my Exhibit A must be formatted differently than yours.
It's residential development and siting criteria.
Is it A? Can you give me A, B, C, D? Which one is
It's
it?
F. F.
Is that under Chapter 11?
Yeah, I think that's it.
And Patty, outdoor recreation would be like tennis courts and pickleball
F,
courts.
item I.
Okay, just wanted clarification, because my big concern is I want to make sure people aren't tripping over things in the, walking from point A to point B, but,
This is
yeah.
intended to address, we don't want.
So no
lighting
baseball fields with light on them.
Someone needs to turn a mic on. Suzanne?
That's me, sorry.
Okay, so that one's taken care of.
Sorry, can I just clarify? Since we don't consider horses as agriculture, would a horse barn be a recreational facility?
Good question.
Once in a while, Patty. Come up with a stump.
I like that.
You don't consider it agricultural for purposes of assessment. We consider it agricultural for purposes of granting floor area exemptions. And I think, that is not the type of recreational facility that is intended to be addressed. So I'm looking for the definition in the code right now. Maybe that will help us.
Recreation fix.
But that's, I mean, I definitely know like the outdoor court type, sport court
Sure.
types of things
I'm
were
just thinking if someone needs to go to the barn and, you know, birth a foal in the middle of the night.
However, our changes to our lighting code did not negate those kinds of safety lighting,
Right, just wanna make sure.
required lighting and exits.
Okay, thank you.
So, and actually, right, as Ryan, I think both found, those are not defined in Chapter 11. We have an outdoor recreation other, but that's more like outfitter uses, those kinds of things. So we may need to.
Recreational building?
It's more like a recreational facility. Anyway, we may need to work on
clarify
that.
if it's not really defined under Chapter 11.
Right, like how best to clarify that language, I think, for second reading.
Let's clarify that. Thank you.
So clarification on that.
We need to come up with exactly what we mean by those outdoor recreation
Outdoor
facilities, because that is not specifically defined in Chapter
Beyond the
11
horse barn.
right now.
Yeah. And then down below that, under L, abandoned fencing, both wire and wooden wire, no longer, should be removed, should or shall be removed?
I would go with shall. Shall would
Yeah,
be,
so
be
that's, the
consistent
should
with.
is used twice in that paragraph. So I think it should be shall.
Fire today. Good job.
And then, under water standards, what is smart irrigation? versus not smart or dumb irrigation?
I can answer this if you
Okay,
wish.
thank you.
So there's been a lot of actually great improvements in irrigation technology over the last 10, 15 years. And one of those, most of you are probably familiar with, where your system will have a rain sensor. And so it will know whether or not it's rained or even is actually forecast to be rained, and will adjust your irrigation schedule accordingly. That's one aspect of smart irrigation.
Okay, so it's not like a brand, like,
No.
okay, like, Hayes spray guns, it's smart irrigation. It just means irrigation that thinks a little bit more than it used to.
Right.
Okay. Okay, and I love the thing about avoid use of systems during windy weather. Well, these days we have windy weather almost every day, but I thought we could leave that one alone. And under the next page, on page 4, under F, use turf grass use, and then it says utilize Pekin County native grass mix. Are those the same thing? And turf grass is more of a grass. The native grass is more of the tall, wavy, natural grasses.
Yeah, I think we could probably skip the word turf there.
Okay, because turf grass to me is like Kentucky bluegrass, kind of. So just
Yeah,
grass
because-
shall be limited to, yeah.
As I understand the county's the native seed grass mix, it's rye and fescue.
Right. It's not like you want to go out and, have a putting green on. And then I did also have the 2 inches of mulch circled, because the fact that I am familiar with mulch more than most, mulch can come in, can be bark and considered mulch. So I just think maybe a range. I know you can measure it in one place, but are we getting a little too, into detail there, rather than just saying mulch shall be applied to all planting beds to reduce evaporation, rather than 2 inches, specifying 2 inches?
Well,
Or I wonder if similar to the way the above one is written, we encourage the use of mulch at a depth of 2 inches.
Yeah, rather than specifying, you have to put mulch on it, it has to be 2 inches. I mean, to me, that's a little, I think there's a good ground cover for mulch, but it depends on the kind of mulch you use. Some mulch is pretty thick and some is pretty fine.
if I were to answer for one of the zoning inspectors that who I got referral comments from, I think the specificity of 2 inches is
A little too specific?
Yeah.
So
It's a
I would like to
minimum of
see
2
that
inches.
language reworked, so we get an adequate coverage of
Mulch.
mulch, but it doesn't have to necessarily be at 2 inches. And then I had another thing, I really appreciate allowing ponds for irrigation purposes, not for aesthetic. I really appreciate that being in the section under both the agriculture irrigation and in the residential, or whatever the otother irrigation was. Landscape
Do we add
irrigation section.
pastoral in there?
Yes, I like that being in there. I was really impressed with that. And I think my other red line additions were, again, on the last page, just the clarification of mobile homes or trailer homes, and I think we got that covered. So thank you.
All right, Greg was next, and then
Right.
Francie, I see you.
Yeah, back to the mulch thing. What it specifies is a minimum depth of 2 inches, and what they're looking for is an adequate amount of mulch to preserve moisture. If you can say adequate, but that becomes too subjective. So I'll stick with the P&Z on adequate mulch, minimum depth of 2 inches. It just makes it that much easier to know what the rule is. So I don't have too much of a problem with that. I did want to ask, Tim, did you have any conversations when you were going through this with the Martha Ferguson in particular, and the Dark Skies Initiative, which originated in that valley, and as a campaign to try to bring the entire county along and neighborhoods with dark skies criteria?
Yes, actually, she helped out with that language. Some of that came from her, so, and it was partly because they were working on the application for that, and so yes, we did consult.
Great.
Greg, I can maybe chime in on that as well.
Yeah, the word was current.
Sorry, I will chime in
current
again.
county, meaning whatever is current in the county.
So that's the new regs.
Yeah.
That is definitely the new regs that Martha hugely helped us create. There were a few additional things for the dark skies designation that I know Martha had wanted us to include in our code, and her working with Larissa, there were things that not having any sign lighting for any signs anywhere in the county when we have like the airport business center with, again, we were like, that's not something that's appropriate for the entirety of the county. So I think these are the sort of the leftover pieces that Martha wanted that help satisfy the dark skies criteria for their community.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. Very thorough job on this, I'd say. Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Francie.
Thank you, Patty, for that really good analysis. I really appreciated hearing it. I am a little concerned about the lighting, as I was when we talked dark skies a few months ago. I mean, I can understand that you don't want events lit up late at night, but I do think that being outside at night is something we don't want to completely discourage, and we don't want to have people outside without some lighting, so I'm a little concerned about that, and maybe some more specificity about what you actually mean there. I am concerned about not having any trailer home units, because that is, first of all, it's a place for people to live while they're building, and also it's affordable. All of these are making it incredibly expensive to live up there, which it is anyway, but I mean, all of these stipulations require a great deal of money. For instance, the irrigation, flood irrigation may not be the most efficient irrigation, but it certainly is the most accessible to people without putting in a tremendous amount of infrastructure. And the kinds of irrigation that require rain gauges and rain awareness and all of that, I don't know, I just wonder, are we making it more and more difficult for people to maintain irrigated pasture? And I'm not sure it's really in our bailiwick to tell them exactly what kind of irrigation system they have to have. I'm concerned about the overregulation of that. And the Pickens County grass mix is very expensive. And there are other places where you can get really creative grass mixes like Moon Prairie. There's a lot of places that specialize in native grasses depending on your altitude, your location, the amount of water you have. I'm not sure Pickens County's particular mix is something that we should be recommending at the exclusion of others that are very scientifically based, very creative, and possibly more affordable. So overall, I'm saying that these regulations, they might work great for really wealthy people, but they're really prohibitive for people who are not really wealthy.
Can I add on real quick? To the trailer home or mobile home, what about modular or prefab? Are modular homes still allowed?
That's allowed, yeah. A mobile home is something different than
Okay, I just want to make sure
manufactured
it's not
prefab,
included
that
in
falls
your
under-
list.
That's just that's a building technique as opposed to, and on the mobile home front for Francie, again, under the scenario where somebody's building, there is still a provision under the code that would allow somebody to be in a mobile home on their property on that temporary basis while they're under construction. Anyway, so that still exists in the code and wouldn't be precluded. I think. I mean, we can double check on that, but that would be. I don't know that this would supersede that, but we can make sure that that's clear.
So it doesn't fly in the face of the amendment we recently did for trailers on ag properties, for resigning for producers, people who are actually producing on those properties?
That lives under a temporary use provision, and these footnotes that they've added for their caucus are specific to like the duplex multifamily, those household use types, and it wasn't applied to that temporary use provision.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure we're not precluding any other opportunities for people to build rather than just straight stick homes. So thank you.
Thanks.
Greg, go ahead and then
Right.
see if you have any, and then I have some.
I just want to revisit Francie's comments just about the water. I don't even know or want to know what the actual cost per acre or per, of land is in this area that we're considering. But these are all extremely expensive properties that have turned over, and at this point, I'd say are probably owned for the most part by people who have the means to do the right thing with irrigation. And I'm just a little bit surprised because we're looking at a drought in the West. We're working with the Colorado River District. Everybody was racking their brains on how we can conserve water. And smart irrigation is definitely one of the solutions that are going to help us get through this. And I think if anybody could be or should be using modern irrigation techniques and stringent ones, it's our valley, because I don't think we have the luxury to waste water any longer, and we don't want to. My feeling is we don't want to promote that, or seems to me that we should all be focused on doing what we can because we can, especially in this caucus area. So I want to push back on Francie that I appreciate your comments. You made me think.
I would just also add too, and I think Tim spoke to it earlier, I mean, these are standards that would be applied at site plan review. So that presumes somebody is coming through us for a development approval. We're then sort of left with, what do these standards mean for somebody who's not coming in for a development approval, who is doing their agricultural operation out there? There's no opportunities for say, oh, this is a condition of approval on your property. I mean, so this is clearly a preferred option, from the caucus, but in terms of, again, that's where it sort of gets a little awkward for us. It's like, well, these are development standards. We're applying them with development. It's not necessarily an across the board. It's certainly a preferred, a hope, a desire for the community to embrace that. But this is not, putting this in the land use code is not telling everyone out in that area that they have to comply with this.
Unless they open the door.
Unless they're coming in for some sort of
Only on
development
redevelopment.
approval.
Right. Copy that.
So.
Can I add to that? And the language
I'd like
also
to give
says
Jeffrey a chance.
where
since he hasn't
possible,
said,
just real quick.
a
It
whole
also
lot.
says where possible, which gives a little flexibility, I think, for what they can do or not do.
That's for the drip.
I'm confused what that means.
Where possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ambiguous.
I didn't make it up. It's in there, so.
Yeah, I know. But Jeffrey's been waiting for a while, so
Okay.
I'll hold my.
Does he know where possible means?
I have 4 questions for staff. The first one is, are we in conformance with state statute with the potential changes regarding duplex, multifamily, and mobile homes? Specifically, ADUs obviously are not verboten. And then my sort of part B of number 1 is we have existing duplexes and multifamily. They may be either illegal or not, but they're not prevalent, but we certainly have a number of both duplexes and multifamily in the valley today. So is that existing non-conforming until they came in?
This refers to new.
Okay.
So it's anyone coming in for a new one.
Yeah, my concern with number 1 is really that if you look at the large ranches and ag production, they generally do have multifamily for employee housing. So it seems like you're trying to negate something that there is a need in the valley for duplexes or multifamily given ranching and ag operations. So I'm somewhat concerned and surprised that the caucus is bringing that one forward.
I think we had a discussion about that at the P&Z, and the consensus was if we add new free market units,
Yeah. I'm looking at employee. I guess I'm mostly focused on employee.
Right.
Is my question. Yeah.
And our goal in the planning department is if we have employee units, we want those units deed restricted or occupancy covenant to cover those and make sure that they remain employee units.
Second one, I'm concerned with the overall conversation about mulch. So we're not going to sit there and test the mulch for the amount of bark in it, but if you're introducing combustible materials near a structure, you're then introducing a wildfire hazard just to save water. And it seems to me actually the last thing you want near your structure is actually to hold water. So maybe this is just too vague, but certainly within the first 5 feet of a structure, I wouldn't want to retain water, I wouldn't want mulch, and I certainly wouldn't want bark. So I'm concerned about where that language is relative to wildfire resilience and structure, because the first thing an ember is going to do is say thank you for the bark mulch. You know, we're taking out this field or pasture or house. On number 3, on lighting, we do have a series of both riding arenas, that was my snowmass accent, and barns that are used for dances and other purposes. And I would go back to the health safety concerns about both the rider, the horse, and the people that are either recreating or dancing. So are we covered in terms of recreational use, in terms of health safety and lighting? So I know it's not supposed to look like Friday Night Lights, like the town of Basalt, but I'm concerned that, you know, riding arenas, for example, the safety of the horse and the safety of the rider, given those concerns.
I was just going to say, I'm hopeful on that one. Maybe Tim can go back to Ned and the caucus to have them further, you know, explain what were the types of recreation facilities where they were hoping not to see. And I just think we need to be more specific about what those are.
And then the last one may be an observation, but I know there's a lot of water experts on this call. It seems to be that we would be more concerned with measuring inlet and outlet and supplying gauges and weirs in advance of the Division 5 engineer requiring gauges or inlets and outlets. Specifically, there's, you know, vanity streams running through properties right now, or vanity creeks running through properties. Wouldn't it be better if we were really focused on irrigation? We'd also focus on measurement in advance of Division 5 controls coming into place over the next couple of years. So.
I would say I'm comfortable letting that be Division 5's rule, because they're gonna, I think, to address even the vanity streams, which often serve like ditches, right, and have to have some purpose. For managing that, I want to revisit Rye's concern that he raised about the language on where possible, and then, like you, Jeffrey, I'm still sort of stuck on this mulch thing and whether, I don't know,
Fire resistant mulch.
whether we need to, how best to wade into that, I guess. So, Rye, do you want to expound on, it sounds like where possible is difficult to legally defend?
Sure. Got a couple other suggestions as we're going through here if the board wants. But let's start with that one. I just want to clarify, so under agricultural irrigation, which is on page 4 of the Chapter 3 Zone District regulations that are being proposed for an amendment under water standards, the way I read agricultural irrigation A is any new applications that come in for one of these ranches or other properties in Snowmass or in the zone district, we're going to be converting sprinkler gun irrigation on hay fields to drip irrigation. Is that the board's understanding of where we're going with that?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
I don't know enough about irrigation, but it sounds like if someone came in with a site plan application that currently had sprinklered irrigation, you would read this as needing to convert.
That's the way I read it. And
To drip.
to drip. This says
From
agricultural irrigation systems, which I would generally read that as any agricultural irrigation system in the zone district, where possible, and when generally most things are possible. The way this reads, that when that property comes in, that irrigation for that ag field would need to be converted from whatever its existing practice is, whether that's flood or sprinkler irrigation, to drip. So I just want to make sure that that is the intent of the board in implementing these regulations. If it is, then I would suggest we make some kind of tweak to the where possible language so that we at least know what that means. I would suggest that where possible, it's possible to convert to almost any property from one kind of irrigation to the next. It's just whether it's financially feasible or practical to do that. So if that's the board's intent, we should work on that language a little bit, and then we can move on to some of these other ones.
Can we just make that recommended? I mean, that's really onerous. You have a huge hayfield and you're having the whole thing go to drip irrigation. Couldn't we make it a recommendation?
It's up to you if you want to do anything at all, but I'm just pointing out what it says now.
Can I ask the applicant their intent with this? I'm assuming you believe it's more efficient, but if we have 500 acres of hay, wouldn't we be better off going from overhead to flood than going all the way to drip? That was a question for Tim, sorry.
I'm wondering can we see if Ned has joined the meeting?
Oh, yeah, he has.
Because
Ned
he
just
has
raised his
attended
hand.
some of the meetings for the caucus, which I have not attended. And it might be helpful to have Ned chime in here, and I see he is on the meeting.
You hear me?
We
Yes.
can. Hi, Ned.
Well,
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, hello. Thank you. The issue here was really landscaping around a residence. It was not intended to be for a irrigation of a hay meadow or anything like that. It was for the immediate surrounding area of a residence. So that was the intent of this. It's sort of watering of a garden. Can you be efficient about that? And, you know, I think the comments about being careful or reasonable are quite appropriate and acceptable. So I guess my suggestion would be, you know, do what seems reasonable and acceptable, and think about it in the context of an acre or two for the landscaping around a residence.
Okay. Might I just suggest then that we remove that subheader for agricultural irrigation and just call it irrigation? And then perhaps in letter A, replace agricultural irrigation systems with residential irrigation systems?
I think, Kelly, the residential or garden is addressed above in the landscape garden irrigation section. So the language that Ned's speaking to is there. So then maybe that agricultural irrigation one is just removed.
Or we just remove A.
And B.
And B, if that's captured above as well. Smart irrigation, right, that's
Smart,
already, that's
yeah.
above as well.
It says it shall be
So
installed in all automated irrigation systems.
Yeah, we just need better
What's
clarification.
So
what's
under-
the conflict with that one?
That language is repeated, sorry, from above, so that is already,
But do we
again,
not
if we're
want-
trying to clarify that this is specific to more like residential landscaping irrigation, I think we can work with that, but we, you know, if we're taking out the, applying it to agricultural irrigation, I think we can clean that up.
So under agricultural irrigation, there would really only be two items left. The cultivation of drought-resistant crop varieties, and then allowing ponds for irrigation purposes. We already have that above in water, in landscape irrigation.
But why wouldn't we want automated agricultural irrigation to have smart controls?
I think it already says that.
Maybe they
above.
already do. This could.
It already
I don't
says-
know anything about agricultural irrigation, so perhaps that's redundant. But
Well, I guess the question is to Ned and Tim, they have water standards for landscape garden irrigation, and then they have agricultural. Did Ned mean to say that really the caucus is only focused on landscape gardening irrigation, and with the big agricultural, that's not something that they want to?
It's a good question.
Our objective here was to facilitate and encourage efficient water use. And certainly the agricultural, the big sprinkler guns and such, is that water, we can ask, is that water being used effectively? And, you know, sometimes it's raining and yet the big sprinklers are running. So there are those types of issues, but we wanted to make a distinction between landscape gardening around a residence and agricultural use. In some cases, even flood irrigation may be the most efficient. So I would emphasize efficient water use in this on both items, but do what's reasonable and prudent, not make it unreasonably restrictive.
Go ahead, Patty.
It sounds to me like this needs to be further vetted, and I don't know, do we come to a point where it has to go back through P&Z if we make significant changes, or back to the caucus, or since it's kind of a multiple group effort? I think we need clarification, what they want to do for ag and what they want to do for your common front yard garden. Which in some cases could be a huge landscaping, because I know, so I think there's still some confusion in my mind.
And I think maybe Rye can help with that. I mean, I think if going back to the P&Z would only be required if there was something more restrictive. I feel like what we're talking about is, are we applying this to agricultural or not? The language is there today, so we would be making it less restrictive. I also think it's important to note that, I mean, these are included in the overlay under residential development and siting criteria. So I think maybe some of this language that's straying more into the agricultural use and irrigation of agricultural fields is, like I said, going beyond what we're going to be addressing in a site plan review anyway. So I feel like it's probably not appropriate to include in these criteria. I understand clearly the master plan still speaks to that, and the intent of that, and their concern with, water efficiency and use. But again, if we're trying to tie this back to residential criteria, I don't think we're accomplishing, some of what that's trying to. I'm not sure that criteria is appropriate.
So we can rework this and bring it back to us on second reading. Okay.
Francie.
Could I chime in here for just a second?
Sure, Tim.
Okay. First of all, I think when I drafted this on behalf of the caucus, my thought was that in situations where, like, what some of the landowners in the area have done, where they've done estate planning that involves splitting off some lots and doing conservation easements and other forms of estate planning that resulted in additional lots being developed, that is when this would kick in. And as through that process, there would be some discussion of these standards and how they might apply, A, to the residential landscaping and gardening for the lots, and B, since there is a substantial financial windfall in the event these lots are sold, or in the event that they're handed down to family members, that substantial windfall isn't there. But at any rate, that there could be some discussion about whether or not some changes to the agricultural irrigation practice would be appropriate at that time in such a review. And I would suggest, and I think I agree with Rye on this, that first A, if we're to keep A and B at all, that first A could be modified to agricultural irrigation systems shall implement efficient irrigation approaches, and just skip the rest. So that in the case where you had a hayfield, for example, and they had access to ditch water, they've been using it forever, and it may in fact be the most, or very nearly the most efficient approach, and so that could be acceptable. But that is kind of my understanding of what my charge was when I was drafting these.
Clarifying questions for Tim before I go to Francie. Francie.
Yeah, just a couple of things in general. Irrigation water returns to the water table, and so when people think that something's being over irrigated when it's raining, I want to explain just a little bit of rain. For instance, we had rain all one day in Carbondale, and Tom Bailey's sprinklers were still going, and there were some people complaining, why is he sprinkling? It was 1/4 inch of rain. And the sprinklers were laying down significantly more than that. I'm not justifying Tom Bailey's use of water, rest his soul, but it takes a significant amount of water to irrigate, for instance, alfalfa or even native grasses. And sometimes a whole day of rain is not sufficient. So I want to make sure that if we are writing anything about agriculture, we're doing it correctly. So I think that we should not even have this section on agriculture. I think that with Drew's help and possibly Ned's or people who like Steve Childs, people who understand agriculture should be making these decisions, not our planning department and our inspections. And I just don't think it's appropriate. I mean, sure, irrigation ponds, we've talked about doing that county-wide, not having aesthetic ponds county-wide, and I think that's fine. And I understand making recommendations for people's gardens and stuff, but true to my nature, I think this is a lot more regulation imposed on our departments, our county employees, and I do feel strongly that I would like to take out that they have to use the Pickens County native grass mix. That's really very presumptuous, and I don't know. A lot of this I really, really liked, by the way, Tim, and it's really well written, and I like most of the propositions and proposals, but the agriculture thing is just hard for me to accept, especially the way it's written. So I would recommend we take out the agricultural irrigation and we just continue to increase our own education about what are modern and efficient agricultural methods and use them as advisory information for our county farmers and ranchers.
And Francine, I agree with you, and I think that'd be quite appropriate. If these additional ones are taken out, I'm sure the caucus would be fine with that. Back to your comment, this whole section on agricultural use and native seeds, that all came from Molly Child. So she, there was at least someone with a lot of experience and perspective, and it came from Molly.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Ned.
Kelly, okay, yeah, let's have some discussion. Patty?
Real quick, because Francie, I had that highlighted again too about the Pickens County native seed mix. I think we should check with Romany about, I think a lot of the concern was what people were using were bringing in species of seeds that are not native to our valley. Not that they are noxious, but they're not native. So I think we can have a broader choice, but it still needs to meet the goal of keeping our native species here in the valley. So I think Romany made me a great contact to clarify if there's other brands out there, other wording we could use to cover that.
Can I coalesce whether there's consensus around removing the agricultural irrigation components, 3 of which are repeated above in the residential irrigation components?
Well, but I think it's different for me, ag versus residential. I don't know how we cover it both. I don't want to leave it just to advisory. I think we need to have some stronger wording, so I'd like to see maybe what staff and the applicant can bring back to us, rather than just eliminating it, but not making it so specific that it's gonna make it difficult for people to come in with an application and have to replace their irrigation system for a couple hundred acres of hayfield. But I think we do need to be protective of our water resources rather than just, watering your flower beds in front. It's a different use of water. So I don't know how we can address it, but I'd like to leave that up to staff and the applicant to bring us back something.
I think what I'm struggling with is listening to Suzanne say, we're not sure how this point of review engages the agricultural use anyway. So I don't know if there's a different, if that falls under a different aspect of land use planning, or.
We really don't have an agricultural provision in our or in our land use code that's, here are the best practices for agriculture. I mean, again, I think to that point, to Francie's right. It's great informational, it's great educational. I don't know where that lives. I'm not sure that the Pitkin County Land Use Code, again, with a lot of agricultural things, people do their agricultural activities today. It's not anything we're reviewing, touching, trying to weigh in on what's appropriate or not.
So like the extent of our
Usually
requirement is, okay, you're gonna preserve 85% of your historical ag, and we're going to hold you to the fact that you are keeping it as ag, not details about how you're keeping it as ag.
Right.
Greg?
I just want to, I think we're getting closer, and I just want some clarity. Ned brought something up, and maybe Tim. People subdivide, they pull off a few lots as part of their approvals, and those lots might have a 2-acre front lawn. Is that ag, or is it residential? And how do we specify, and what are we trying to accomplish here? It sounds to me like if somebody has a vanity lawn stretching out for 2 acres in front of their big house, it seems totally appropriate to me that they drip irrigate it.
say that's fully falling within these garden irrigation landscape. They're coming in, they're showing us an envelope and a site plan, and we
within
want to
the envelope.
re-landscape
Okay.
this entire area. It may be a pasture today, and it's going to be a big lawn today. The caucus is saying, hey, you get some lawn area, but it's not going to exceed more than 2,000 square feet.
2,000.
Okay.
And all of those other things. So yes, that would be
Recovered.
captured
Thank you.
in
All right.
a residential site plan application.
And I also want to add, utilizing Tim's example of where you have somebody who does some estate planning. Most of the property owners that we work with who want to then do some estate planning, cluster their development, conserve a section of land. So we're working with Open Space and Trails on that for a conservation easement. And there's a whole conservation management plan that goes with those conservation easements. That's very detailed and is monitored by Paul Holsinger, for example.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm still not hearing where everyone on the board is at with this agricultural irrigation section. I'm gonna look to Jeffrey since I'm just going around the horn until we figure it out.
Empathetic to where Ned portrayed it, which was trying to have more water, basically back to the efficiency conversation. Empathetic to the applicant in terms of efficiency, and how can we get language in here that's driving overall efficiency of water use, given we only have, let's just call it, 2 big creeks in the valley. So I'm sort of happy with Greg's proposal, which is applicant and staff come back at second read for language around ag provisions.
I agree
that was
with
Patty.
that too.
That was Patty's, but I'll take credit.
You can give him credit for it, and I'll agree with you.
Fair enough. I think
Have we
there's
given staff and applicant enough direction to
Be creative.
come back with the answers to the questions we posed?
So do we have Leslie into December now, maybe?
January.
First BoCC meeting in December. I think, Tim, that's enough time for us, don't you think? And Ned,
Yes.
Martha?
Yes, I believe so. It's a pretty small.
It's ready.
Yeah, it's pretty focused stuff, I think. Okay, can you
But we're
read?
really talking about A and B, right?
So I think we still have some concern about mulch. We still have some concern about this agricultural irrigation components.
And seed mix.
And seed mix.
And I have one more question, if that's okay,
Yes,
Kelly.
please, Francie.
So the way I read this, like a pickleball court, for instance, which are very popular now, is possible, but they can't play at night?
Yes.
Why not?
In the dark.
I mean, what if nobody can see their court and they're only playing from like 8 to 9 and,
Can we?
I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to build a pickleball court or whatever.
So,
I'm just wondering what the justification for that is.
Can we bring Martha?
It's fairly prohibitive.
Sure, yeah. I'll let Jeffrey go, and then Martha is here, who wants to weigh in on the dark skies elements of nighttime lighting of pickleball courts. And you would have to come up, please.
Make sure she presses. We'll let Jeffrey get.
All right, Jeffrey first, and then Martha, come on up to the table, please.
so Francie, I mean, probably the most popular pickleball court's at Lazio, so it's outside the caucus area, but it's really used summertime, so it's light out till 9 o'clock. And folks literally drive up on the grass and use it all summer long. So it's popular, well used, but there's no one playing night pickleball court at Lazio Ranch that I know of.
But if you lit it, they might.
It would look like fun. It would look just like the town of
Because
Basalt Bend.
pickleball players
Yeah.
seem obsessive, from what I observed. Go ahead, Martha, please introduce
hi,
yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just like to add that working with Dark Sky International, they're very strict and want to know exactly what kind of light pollution might be created where it doesn't even exist yet. So they were pretty adamant about not allowing what they call the athletic fields, and I guess, I don't know technically if pickleball courts fall into that. I guess I'd have to ask them. I think they're thinking more of much larger situation, of which right now we don't have any in Old Snowmass, and we really don't have lit signs either, but they were looking into the future of what could happen with development, et cetera, and trying to nip it in the bud right now as to what our lighting footprint might look like in the future, unless we put some parameters around what people are able to do. And I can almost see people coming in and wanting to suddenly do a pickleball court. On the other hand, in Old Snowmass, you know, I guess we can't see into the future and what people want or what people will do. But that is where it's coming from, is Dark Sky International is, it's not an easy designation to receive, and it's why we've been working really hard to make it happen. And I can say I just did a bunch of night sky quality, light quality readings, and we are even a tad darker than we were when we started our project, because people have become more aware, and I think a lot of people hopefully are turning their lights out by 10 p.m. and just being aware of, they're much more aware of how to live in a smart way without creating pollution where it just doesn't have to be. So that is, you know, I'm just following what Dark Sky International has laid down for us in order to be able to get our designation. We're so close, but that's why we're talking about this right now.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, Martha, and I really appreciate the work that you've done, and of course I support Dark Skies. It seems weird to be so specific, but so let's say somebody does come in and builds a pickleball court and they want to play from 9 to 10 and then they turn the lights out. Would that disqualify Snowmass from Dark Skies?
That's a good question. I was thinking about that before I even came up and sat down here. because we do have and that was a really good thing to pass, was lights out by 10 p.m. It may have more to do with having, if someone did a court like that, having their lights checked to make sure that they're not, that they're 3,000 Kelvin or less, that they sort of are passing muster for all the outlines that Dark Sky International wants to see in any kind of nighttime lighting. So I don't have an exact answer for that. It seems to me that a 10 p.m. curfew would cut the light pollution past 10 p.m., which is what the code now says. I guess the question is, though, if you put in a pickleball court, are you going to leave the lights on all night long, even though there's a curfew? I mean, it comes down to managing that and enforcing it.
Yeah, for sure. They probably don't want them on all night. Now, I grew up with paddle tennis, and we played at night all the time, and but not at midnight. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just I'll stop. Thank you, Martha.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm not sure if there is a definition between an athletic field, which is the way it was presented to me from Dark Sky International, versus something like a pickleball. Is that an athletic field? I guess it could be, but it's not exactly as big or probably as lit.
That's what we get the requests for. I mean, I think that's just the hot thing right now. The next is paddle courts. That's the new one, PADEL. It was tennis courts. It's going to be something that's outdoor. And we've tried to be really careful, even in other areas, of saying, no, this is not appropriate. If you want that, great, have the court, but it doesn't need to be lighted so you can play at all hours. So
Well, we even
again,
did that with a pool lighting, right, in the outdoor lighting code.
So yeah, I think if we can come back at second reading and maybe just try and be a little more specific about what that includes or doesn't include, I think we can go from there.
Okay. Is that okay?
Sure. And by the way, I wanted to say, as I left Old Snowmass, a wildfire had just broken out right across from my house.
You got the alert.
Yeah. Yeah, I took some pictures of it. It was back behind the Polite Ranch and running up Light Hill. So I think it's under control, but it was kind of a shocking sight. I was leaving my house and I see a huge fire right out my window. But I think it's all good. There were a lot of fire trucks.
Well, I was going to bring that up in open discussion. So if we get through this item, maybe we'll get an update from John Peacock. Greg.
I just want to say that fire would be in violation of the dark skies.
But it's happening during the day.
But it's happening during the day. So they should get it out before dark. Tell them that.
Yeah, it's very important.
Okay, sorry.
I just wanted to add, we discussed lighting before you walked in. You were probably in the car, but we did have a conversation about lighting in dark skies, and just wanted to let you know that Tim confirmed, or Ned confirmed, that you've been a big part of that and contributor to it, and thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And actually, in about 2 weeks' time, I, along with Ann Driggers, who's Pickens County Treasurer, Finance Director, we're giving a big presentation for CMC, and in hopes that they will definitely think about, we're taking photographs of their campuses and going to give them some education about why it's a good idea. But apparently it's going to be a full house there with people quite interested. And so it's kind of sprouting beyond Pickens County and into the whole valley, which is fantastic. I think we would all love to see that.
Great.
Thank you.
So
There's a Beacon alert, Martha, about the fire.
Yeah. We don't know this current status.
It just came out, the Beacon alert about the fire. It's between Capitol Creek and Watson Divide, and fire responders are on site.
I want to just keep us focused to dot our I's here. I need to open the public hearing, since this is a first reading land use public hearing on this item. See if there's anyone additional who wishes to comment on this. Okay, there's no one else in the room. I'll close the public hearing on this. This is a ordinance, so we have first and second readings. We've given direction on what we'd like to see come back at second reading in December. And so I will look for a motion, please, to approve this ordinance on first reading today.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Greg. Is there a second? Thank you, Jeffrey. Any further discussion on this?
Only that I think pickleball at night is fine, and they can use night vision goggles or just do it in the dark.
Glow in the dark.
Glow in the dark pickleball.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Oops.
All right.
Good
we say
to
aye.
see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're not rid of us, Leslie.
I know.
One more round.
I'm trying. All right.
Kelly, was that
Yes,
vote
please.
assuming that these changes will be brought back to us?
This is first reading, so we will have a shot at second reading to confirm that the final language is what we hope to see.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll vote yes then.
On December 3rd.
Did you vote yes this time, for the record?
Yes, I will vote yes this time, thank you.
Okay, great, because I called the vote already and I marked you as an aye.
I did not vote previously. I am voting now.
All right. So I just want to be very clear for the record that we have 5 aye votes for this ordinance on first reading. Thank you. And that is the conclusion of our land use items and regular agenda items today. We are on to open discussion. John, do you have any updates on the fire?
You know, I don't have a lot of information. It was reported at about 1:45. Fire crews are on scene and actively working. There's some structure protection going on. Is only reported at 0.1 acres about an hour ago. I don't have an update since about 1 o'clock.
Well, looking outside here, it doesn't look very windy, thankfully. Okay, other open discussion items?
I do. We got an invitation today from the airport. We got an invitation from the airport about the Delta's first E-174 flight coming in on Sunday. I didn't know if anybody was going to be going. It's at 11:21 a.m. They're going to do the meet and greet at the gate. If anybody is interested, we need to notice. I'm going to try and go. I didn't know if we should just notice it in case.
I will be at my daughter's first cross-country race.
Whoa.
Great.
I didn't know she was running. Good for her.
She loves
Is
to run.
anybody else maybe going?
Happy to join you.
Okay, so why don't we just notice it in case?
I might come, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Good
I
call,
already
Patty.
mentioned it to Sam. And I think we were gonna try and discuss the Airport Advisory Board appointment.
We can. It'd be helpful if Charlotte were here to sort of refresh where we're at.
Because we keep moving it. I don't know if the
This
board's
is for
looked
the
at all the
second
interviews. So
Can we flag that? Can I request that everyone come tomorrow prepared to
Okay, that
discuss
would be
that in
great.
open discussion?
Uh-oh.
Airport
pretty
Advisory Board
formal.
appointment. Okay, is there
I have a question for
any
you for
further open discussion?
Well, Old Snowmass seems to be the topic of the day. There's also a missing person search going on.
I know, that's
Top of
awful.
Watson Divide.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been reported yet, but she has been found.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Good. And if you need anywhere to stay tonight, if this fire grows, you can stay at my house.
Great, thank you.
All righty. Well, let me pull up we are going to go into an executive session to discuss the topic that came up earlier of this Varian Mountain Properties application, as well as, let me pull it up.
I've got it right here if you'd like, Kelly.
Oh,
Can I give one update before we do
Yes,
that?
please.
Just in the fire is contained at this
Great.
point. Yep.
bravo. All right, I am going to call an executive session. I'll look for a motion to go into exec for the purposes of water rights acquisition, Roaring Fork River, discussion with counsel for the purpose of receiving legal advice pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-4024B, and Looking to arrive for discussion of
Land
a
use
resolution.
application, appeal rights for, what's the name of that application, Suzanne?
Varian.
Barren Mountains Property LLC. That's also discussion with council for the purpose of receiving legal advice pursuant to CRS 246402-4B.
So moved.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second? Thank you, Jeffrey. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Francie, you should have received the link by email. Give us a few minutes to get up there. Thank you. All right, thanks, everyone. Thank you, Grassroots. We'll see you all tomorrow for work session.